It's Seahawk Zone. After wins against the Cardinals, Rams, and Browns, the Seahawks faced the Ravens Sunday afternoon. That would be yesterday. It was also the return of Earl Thomas to Seattle, but it didn't quite go our way. Please welcome from the Barbershop, Terry Hollimon, who also endured the Husky game. Are you all right?
No, I'm not. It was a rough weekend. I had to go see my therapist. I had to make an emergency call on Sunday. Had to sit down and have some conversations about my life choices with teams, I guess. Yeah.
Well, there's nothing you can do. You are a Husky.
I am. I'm through and through.
And we are Hawks fans. What are we going to do?
I know. We could sit down here on Monday morning and talk about it. That's what we're here to do, right?
We could do that, or we could just talk about the Sounders if you want. But look, the Hawks are 5-2. This isn't the end of the world.
Right.
What did you think about Russell Wilson yesterday?
You know, I think Russell Wilson, yesterday wasn't his best performance per se, but he's been having a stellar MVP type of season, so anything less than perfect would have been bad. He had a lot of yards through the air, 241 yards passing.
His first interception.
First interception all season.
Husky.
Exactly. Marcus Peters took an interception. Marcus Peters was here actually for the Husky game. I saw him down on the sideline on Saturday. And then he came back on Sunday and made us pay, gave Russell Wilson his first interception. So if Russell Wilson does something, it's always big, right?
Right.
So he goes all season long, 14 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he makes his first interception for a touchdown, a pick six. So.
And two big mistakes with 14 points. That was one of them, and DK Metcalf dropping the ball. Yeah, I would say inexplicably, but people drop things sometimes, and it's wet out there, and I'm not a professional football player, so I can't say what happened, but that was painful.
Well, somebody told me a long time ago, when you play in this position and you're playing a skill position, it's not a matter of if you're going to fumble the ball, it's a matter of when you're going to fumble the ball, and yesterday it was just an inopportune time for him. He was trying to make something happen. When we play football and you're a skill position guy, they always tell you to put the ball into your outside arm that's closest to the sideline, so in case you get hit, it falls out of bounds, and he was trying to move the ball to his outside arm, and it slipped out.
Right.
It was wet.
One of the broadcasters said it was a rookie mistake, and I was like, because veterans never drop a ball.
Right,
I don't know. That was crazy. Earl Thomas. So Earl had things to say after the game.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I didn't hear. I wasn't in the mix to hear what he had to say, but it looked like he was having a pretty good time with some of his ex-teammates. They were hugging, shaking hands, having deep conversations. He and Russell Wilson exchanged jerseys after the game.
I was happy to see that.
So,
I think he's primarily mad at Coach Carroll.
I imagine.
But you know what? There were a lot of signs welcoming Earl back. He's the only player whose jersey I ever actually bought, and it wasn't a gift, and so we'll just hope for the best. Tyler Lockett had a really good game. He is magic at times.
Tyler Lockett and Russell Wilson have a magical combination, and he's just turned into such an incredibly complete wide receiver at this stage in his career. I think he had about 65 yards receiving yesterday, which was good because the Ravens have a really tough defense. They play really solid man-to-man defense. They got after Russell Wilson really good. So it was a good day for Tyler.
So when they're stacking the box like that, don't we have somebody open downfield?
Usually, but they weren't. I wasn't necessarily that they were stacking the box. I think they were in man-to-man coverage.
Whole bunch of them.
They were just sending a lot of guys coming after Russell Wilson, trying to make him uncomfortable because they know how good this team can be when Russell Wilson is on point. But the other thing is their defensive backs were very good, and when they play man-to-man coverage, it's tough for guys to get free.
There were a couple of plays where they were just, their hands were everywhere, and it was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Lamar
you don't
Jackson,
like guys' hands being everywhere when you're playing football. No, it's not a good deal.
Not having that. Lamar Jackson is an amazing football player.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
He is. He's been very good ever since his college career. People didn't think he was going to translate very well into the National Football League as a quarterback because he's just so gifted on the ground. But he's really transforming the way that you play that position right now in the National Football League. He had 116 yards. When you have a quarterback that's that dynamic, especially at this level, it's hard to really win defensively because he could take the ball down and damage you. And he's just he's better than having another running back in the backfield. He's faster.
Right.
Yeah, he's faster than most running backs. He's faster than most anybody that's on the defense.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah, so he just has, there's some guys that we call freaks, some just super athletic guys that he's absolutely one of those.
Well, and he ran right into traffic a couple of times for the touchdown that he got. He was like, there was no sliding, there was no protecting, there was just, and he looked like he was on fire.
He was.
Okay, we've already talked about Marcus Peters. Can we just talk non-Seahawks for one moment?
Please.
Because I've always enjoyed the Saints and big fan of what is happening for Teddy Bridgewater. For him to go through such a horrific injury and come back and replace Drew Brees, who's injured, and not lose a game
Right.
is a pretty cool comeback story, isn't it?
It is a great comeback story. You like to see those things. You like to see stories of redemption, guys having great tragedies happen to them. You don't know how they're going to bounce back, but he's done a great job. And it's going to be tough when Drew Brees comes back and he's healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, what do they do at that point? You have a guy that's been competing at a very high level, that's been leading your team to an incredible record so far in the NFL. And you have Drew Brees, who's an obvious Hall of Famer,
right,
who's going to come back. What do you do? Do you shake up that continuity?
I don't think so. I think they've already said that they're going to put Brees in, but we'll see. I just, just for the meantime, I'm enjoying it because there was a guy whose knee was destroyed.
Yes.
They weren't even sure he was going to walk again.
Right.
And the character and the hard work it took to get back is pretty
Right.
incredible. So who do the Hawks have next? We go to Atlanta,
Yep,
and they're
the
having their
Seahawks.
problems.
They do. The Falcons aren't very good right now. They've won one game this season. So hopefully the Seahawks, they don't take these guys lightly because, again, they're still in the NFL. They're still professionals.
Right.
You have to take a trip really far across the country. I hope they maintain their focus, go down there and do what they need to do, get Russell Wilson back on track,
Right.
and get these guys rolling.
Now, we've got Dan Quinn in Atlanta. Is he sort of on the bubble with this team being a one-win team so far?
I think so. Anytime that you have a one-win team in the National Football League, I think everybody that's on the coaching staff, anybody that's on the playing roster, could be on the bubble. There's some things that has to change. Obviously, if you're not winning games in the National Football League, you know the NFL stands for, right? Not for long. So yeah, if you're not winning for a long time, you could be sitting right here on the couch with me and Margaret talking football
you're
before it's
welcome.
long.
Come on
Yeah,
in.
come on down.
Come on in.
Yeah.
So for the Seahawks, looking at the games they've won, those were exciting games, but they were close games, and they were games where we got kind of lucky in some ways too. And so, I mean, I don't want to say this in too brusque a way, but
Don't you jinx us, Margaret. Don't you say that about my Seahawks. I know what you're about to say.
I'm just wondering where we really are. Where are we as a team?
I think, it's hard to tell at this point in the season. We still need to play some very good teams in our conference. I think our conference, the NFC West, is probably the toughest conference in the National Football
and
League.
The 49ers, good grief.
The 49ers are undefeated. The Rams are still a good team. The Arizona Cardinals are very good. So once we get in the thick of things in this conference and start playing some of those other conference foes, we're going to find out where we are. But I will say this. I think that any team that has Russell Wilson at the helm and that has Pete Carroll leading the charge, I think there's a chance to win. These guys are just so, positive. Russell Wilson, we've seen him do some incredible things over the course of his career here.
Can we just go a little more down the field? Can we just...
Let me tell you this before we get out here. Going down the field is great. It's great. It's great. But as an old school running back, a guy that is, I'm all for old school football. You have to be able to run the ball well, first and foremost. And that's been the key.
I'm in favor of that. I'm just saying just a little tiny,
just every now and again. Yeah. Russ, if you're listening,
just a little dialing it up.
Once or twice, a little bit more downfield.
That's all I'm asking.
Downfield.
That's all I want.
Please, for Margaret.
Poor girl, help us out.
Margaret.
The Seahawks' next game is on Sunday in Atlanta at 10 a.m. against the Falcons. And make sure you follow Terry on Twitter. He's got great stuff on the Huskies as well. I think he might have taken out Cisco, but is he okay? Are you all right?
I think so. Please, no hate mail. I love Cisco.
When you're watching football, you got to eat. We've got some healthier grab-and-go tailgate or home gate snacks you can keep on hand right after this.